Hello and welcome to another episode of Toothless MMA radio series Quick Hitters. I'm your host John Galloway, and today, as we look at the world of combat sports, I'll be joined by my guest, Kurt Holobaugh. Kurt, John Galloway, Toothless MMA, how are you?
Doing good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, thanks for asking. So, Kurt, you have a fight coming up August 22nd for Titan FC. How's that coming along?
It's coming along pretty good. Training's been going well. I've been getting a lot of help from, all the gyms down here in Louisiana. All the guys really coming together to give me a hand and help me out and give me the work I need. It's going to be my second fight for Titan, so I'm looking to get better every time I fight and put on a show.
Excellent. Now, you're going to be coming into the fight facing Lloyd Woodard for a title eliminator fight. Does that add any pressure, knowing that if you get past Lloyd, you're going to be fighting for the title?
No, it's no pressure to me, man. Every fight, I'm going to take one fight at a time. And, it's just another fight.
Now, have you had an opportunity to see any video of Lloyd, or are you familiar with him as a fighter?
I've actually watched Lloyd in the Bellator tournament one night. My daughter was sick in the hospital. It was my 1-year-old. And it was a Friday night. Bellator was on. And I actually watched Lloyd Woodard fight. I think he fought David Rickles. And that's really the first time I've seen him. So as soon as they said the name, I automatically knew who he was.
No, I hope everything's okay with your daughter.
Oh, yeah, she was fine. She just got a little sick right there at the beginning.
All right, well, that's good to hear. Yeah, so he has the Bellator experience, but you've fought in big shows. You fought for Strikeforce. You fought for the UFC. Do you think that's going to play into it at all? Who's got a little bit more big show experience going into this fight?
Not really. I think it's about the same, He was in the spotlight with all the cameras. I was in the spotlight with all the cameras. So I think it's kind of the same. And to be honest, he probably has the advantage with the experience with that because he's been in, more fights, more bigger fights. I think he had 5 with Bellator versus so far, I think about 3 on the big shows. So I think we're about even there.
Now, what's your background in fighting? How did you get started?
Well, of course, definitely I've always been a fan of fighting in general, and then the sport of mixed martial arts and the first UFCs. Whenever I was staying up late watching them with my parents at night, and then after I graduated school, man, we had some guys that I went to school with doing some local cage fighting, and I was like, shit, man, that's awesome. I really looked up to them guys, and I was actually working on a job right beside a brand new Gracie Baja school that was being built. And I got the number and took it down, gave him a call, walked in the door, started training, and never left.
So you're what I call like the new generation, where you've been training MMA from day one. You don't have a wrestling base, you don't have a Muay Thai base. You're a well-rounded fighter from the start. You think that gives you an advantage in these fights?
Maybe so. Maybe it does. But then again, you got some of these guys who've been wrestling since they was 10 years old, So, a guy like that puts his hands on you, it's hard to do anything.
Now, as a fan of the fight game, when you watch fights, sometimes you see a guy maybe take a hit, he gets rocked a little bit, and he immediately reverts back to his roots. We see this a lot with wrestlers. If they take a strong hit, they get dazed a little bit. They immediately go in for a takedown, and they fall back into that comfort zone for them. What's your comfort zone? Where would you fall back to?
If I was hurt, then I would probably rely on my jiu-jitsu game because that's basically our school is a jiu-jitsu school. So I'm extremely comfortable on the ground, and I think that's probably what caused me to fight against Pat Healy, just me being so comfortable on the ground and not really trying to do a whole bunch to get up. So that's probably what happened.
Now, you're going to be coming into this fight on a 3-fight win streak. Does that momentum carry forward into this fight for you?
Yeah, as soon as I dropped my first 2 losses, I said to myself, it's time to start a comeback. And, dealt with them losses pretty rough. And since then, I took two guys out in the first round, and then fought an experienced, tough guy in Eric Marriott the last fight. And, went to a decision, but I think I did very well. And pulled that one out also.
Now, going into this fight, this is going to be, like you said, your second fight for Titan. What do you see, not that we want to look past any fight, but what do you see down the road for you for Titan? Where do you see your career path going with them?
I'm not sure yet. Jeff and Lex, they're really good guys. They do whatever they can for you. So, it's fun being with Titan. So, I'm just going to ride it out, and whatever happens, happens.
Now, this fight's taking place not too far from where you are. You expecting to have a good supporting crew there?
I've got a couple people talking about maybe making the drive up and, coming to support me. I've actually had, a few friends, a few family members make the drive to Oklahoma and to New Jersey whenever I fought out there. So, I got some pretty hardcore MMA fans and friends that, like to follow me around a little bit. So
yeah, that's good support coming up to Jersey. So when you go into a fight, do you game plan for that fighter, or do you focus more on what you're going to do and try to impose your will?
I'll probably focus on a little more what I want to do. Of course, I watch some video on them and see what they do well. And, I want to avoid the things that they do well, but at the same time, I want to work on what my weaknesses are and make them better, and just do what I do.
Now, coming into the fight, like I said, you went through a little bit of a rough patch at one point, but the guys that you lost to were top-level guys. Nobody can fault you for any of those losses. But then, like you said, it was time to sort of come back. You built a little momentum. Now, when you go into the cage, do you have that? What's the driving force behind it? Do you look for, the feeling of the victory, or do you try to go away from the feeling of the loss? Which one is more of a driving factor for you?
To be honest with you, I think it's a little bit of both. It's like with both losses, man, I had to take that plane ride home, and it was just, I said to myself 100 times, if I would have these fights, then this would be so much better. So, but at the same time, it was all still fun. So just being there and fighting in the organizations that I was fighting in, and just being around guys that I was so I think I look more towards the victory, though, man. It's just nothing better than a solid victory and having some fun.
Now, this is what you do as a full-time fighter, correct?
Not exactly. I still work too.
Okay, so you still work a regular job, and you do this. I don't want to say on the side, but you do this above and beyond your regular 9 to 5.
Right.
Now, having the success that you've had inside the cage, what do you think that says about you and your skill set as a fighter, knowing that not even as a full-time fighter, you're one step away from a belt?
That says a lot, man. That goes to show that, that it can be done and how hard that I'm really working at it. I work a full-time job, have 3 kids. I'm a single father, so, I put all that in with my training, and I think that's what I think about every day.
Well, that's a lot of...
just knowing that I can do that, then I feel like I'm working harder than most full-time fighters do.
Yeah, that's a full-time commitment too, being a single father. I totally respect that. I'm sure many of the listeners out there are single parents, and they can respect that as well. Now, you're going to be coming into this fight, you fight at 155?
I've been kind of back and forth over the last couple of years at 155 and 145.
All right, now this fight's going to be a featherweight challenge, so this is going to be at a 145, correct?
Yeah, this is going to be a featherweight fight.
Now, coming into a featherweight fight, you're right around 5'11", almost 6 feet tall. do you typically have a height advantage going into fights at this weight level?
Yeah, most of the time I do have a little height advantage. You know, most guys, you know, in featherweight is probably, you know, 5'8", 5'9". I think Steven Siler was pretty tall. We was about right at the same height. But the majority of the guys that I've fought in the past, I think I've had a little height advantage on them.
Now, you're not going to have that much of a height advantage going against Lloyd. Does that change your game plan up at all?
No, if anything, man, it actually makes it better. I feel like the guys that are shorter than me, I have a hard time. I feel like I try to stand too tall. So I think with him being about the same height as me, I think that's going to work out perfect.
Excellent. Now, coming into the fight, who's helping you out? What sponsors out there are helping support you along the way?
Well, I got Shop, which is a nutrition shop. The guy there, he's a real big help in helping me keep my weight down and, you know, what's the right supplements to use on weight cuts and diets. So NutriShop's a big help. I just got another sponsor, K-Ray Construction. You know, he helps a lot of our local guys around here, so I'm happy to have him. So, you know, I've got some good sponsors and some good guys.
Now, the fight's going to be on CBS Sports. You can tune in on your local CBS Sports stations. There's going to be some prelims airing on CBS Sports network. If a fan can't find the fight that night of the fight, August 22nd, and they can't get there to the show in live in person, can they follow you on social media so they see how you did?
You can follow me at Kurt Holobaugh, or you can look me up on Facebook, Kurt Holobaugh.
Excellent. Well, that's going to wrap up another episode of Toothless MMA Radio Series Quick Hitters. I'd like to extend a big thank you to today's guests for joining us. For Kurt Holobaugh, this is John Galloway, and we are tapping out.